Recently, I posed a question to our audiences. I said, would you like to get access to my perfect B2B lead template? And a whole ton of people, over 100 people, responded to my message and said, yeah, I'd love to get hold of that thing. Now, I haven't shared this information in quite some time. I might be a little bit rusty, but what I want to do is run through a formula. And if you're interested, you can download the worksheet to go with it, which will allow you to pull together an amazing lead magnet. Now, the reason why we call this the perfect B2B lead magnet template is, firstly, it works really well if you're in the B2B space. So that's quite typically an industry where most people are selling a lot of knowledge and expertise. So you could be a consultant, you could be a marketing agency owner, you could be selling a complex product. It usually depends a lot on your ability to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise, which is why this particular formula or template works so well. If you're in the B2B space, you can get away with giving away lead magnets that are not so generous in terms of sharing knowledge and expertise. But if you're in the B2B space, yeah, you want to do that, don't you? You want to position yourself as an authority. The other reason why I love this template and why we call it the perfect B2B lead magnet template is because it multiplies the output. So if you're able to follow this particular formula, you won't just end up with one lead magnet, you will end up with multiple items of content that you can use. Now, as an aside, at the end of this video, I'm going to share a link. And I'm going to share a link to something that we've got coming up in the not too distant future. And it is a B2B Boot Camp. We're calling this the Recipe Reloaded, the Complete Build B2B Boot Camp. And a little bit later on this month, we're going to gather online over 3.5 days as a small and passionate posse. And over those 3 days, we're going to do things like actually produce content and actually launch content. And then we're going to follow it up with a couple of weeks of funnel assembly. And then we're going to follow it up with a couple of weeks of joinery. I bring that up right now because what I'm about to share with you is extremely helpful, but it's only a small piece of the puzzle. And I'd like to help you with the broader, larger puzzle. And I'm going to be giving you the opportunity to do that a little bit later. So let me get right into this. If you want to pull together copy or content for your target audiences, there are usually 3 different reasons why you want to do this. Number one, you want to generate leads, which is why we call this the perfect lead magnet. So it's for attracting leads like as if you had a magnet. It's also really important for you to set yourself up as an authority. So if you're doing this, it pays to be thinking about, how do I want to be perceived by my audiences and how do I want to position myself? The third element is that we want to help our future customers and clients get to a decision faster. So I want you to keep those 3 outcomes in mind as I go through this. Number one, of course, we want to generate leads. Number 2, we want to position you as an authority. And that's important when we're picking a focus or a topic. And also, if you have plans to repurpose, that's going to help position you as an authority. And number 3, if you do this right, you're less likely to have those weird and awkward conversations on the telephone where people just don't get what you do or what you're about. You jump on the phone or a Zoom call and you have that conversation and they're already sold before you even start to speak. So I've got a couple different pages. And as I said, if you'd like the worksheet, tap out the words worksheet below this video and I'll make sure that somebody gets it to you so you can revisit the video and work through the process in your own time. But I've got a worksheet with a couple different pages. Page 1, page 2. That's what the mind map looks like that's built within our worksheets. Number 2, this is number 3. And then I think I have 1 or 2 more. Anywho, so on the screen right now, you can see a basic map. And this is the structure that we use to get you some focus, to get you clarity, get you getting things right from the outset. And you'll notice that I've got topic in the left-hand corner, then I've got target, and then I've got the words pain and gain. Now, I'm actually going to suggest that you leave topic for a little bit later. Because often when you sit down, you go, oh, here's what I'm going to write about. I'm going to produce an item of content of high perceived value to my target audiences. And this is the topic that I'm going to focus on. Take a moment, just pause, put a pin in that. Because before you do that, I would love you to take a step back and say, who is this for? Who is this for? Who is my target audience? And it's really helpful if you can be as granular as possible. It's not just for business owners, right? In my space, I might say consultants, or I might say an agency owner, right? I've used that language in this presentation already. It could be a freelancer. Who is your particular target audience? Because if you can name the target audience, you're going to be able to grab their attention really, really efficiently. So for example, if you were walking down a busy street and your name was Robert and somebody yelled out Robert, you would sit up and pay attention. So for example, I see that Asaf has left me a comment. If I say Asaf, he sits up and he pays attention. So it's really helpful if you can name your target audience. So I'm just going to put in here agency owners. You do it on a notepad as well at the same time if that's what you want to do. Then the next thing I would probably suggest that you do is take a step back and go, okay, what are the real headaches in the world of your target audience right now? And don't say, oh, their headaches is that they need my product or service. Have a think about the headaches that they have before they know they need you. So I might turn around and say, you know what? If you're an agency owner, it's difficult to command respect. Some people might think that you're constantly hustling or you're just out there to sell something. So let's just say pain is no respect. You remember that shark, Jabberjaw? He used to say, no respect. I think that was based on the Three Stooges, wasn't it? Not quite sure. So I could say no respect or lack of respect. I could say something like visibility. That is a big one among agency owners. I just need to get my brand out there. When I do, they don't take me seriously. And let's just put slow decisions. Slow decisions are painful in just about every industry. Is that familiar to you? Lack of visibility. You think you deserve a little bit more respect? You probably do. Slow decisions among your target audiences. There's some pains. Then we want to do is we want to look at the inverse of those things. And we go, okay, well, that would obviously be rockstar is the opposite of no visibility. No respect is be the prize, where you become known as the go-to person in your industry. Slow decisions. What's the inverse? Inverse of that? It's easy sales, easy close. It's the inverse of those sorts of things. I don't think business owners do this enough. They're so obsessed and focused on what it is that they want to promote that they don't take a step back. Now, you can look at these three things, the pains and the gains, and then, as I said, take a step back and go, okay, well, what would be something that I could give my audiences that is going to help them go from the A state, the pain state, to the B state? Now, the topic that I'm talking about today is lead magnets. So I might say, okay, well, this is great. I'll talk about producing content. The final step on this particular page when we come up with the topic, and this is some next level stuff, so do please pay attention, is when you come up with your title, start off with the words how to. And it doesn't matter if the final finished piece does not finish with a headline that starts with those two words, how to. But if you're putting together a draft headline and you start with the words how to, guess what? You're more likely than otherwise to produce something that is instructional. Did you catch that? I see this far too often. People decide to pull something together and they end up pulling something together which is opinion-based. It's all about their opinions. And I tell you what, your future customers and clients don't value opinions, even if they're golden opinions. Think about it this way. Would you pay Tiger Woods for his opinion about the PGA circuit, Or would you be more likely to pay him to instruct you on how to improve your golf swing? I know that there are millions of golfers on the planet that would not pay Tiger Woods for his opinion, but they would do backflips to get him to instruct them on how to get an outcome that they are seeking. The pain might be, my drive has no power in it. The gain is balls that fly off into the horizon, never to be seen again. So this is why we want to come up with how to. So I could just say how to prepare the perfect lead magnet, or how to prepare a lead magnet that is going to attract leads, position you as an authority, and help you close clients faster. I hope that that makes sense. So target audience, A state, B state. The A state and the B state are the pain state and the gain state. Then you can come out with your topic. Always begin with the words how to. Not so long ago, I was talking with a guy called Matthias, and we were talking about producing some content together, and he wanted to do something on negotiation. And he came up with a headline, which was The Alchemy of Negotiation, which was a cute headline, and it was pretty catchy. But when we went through this process, I said, well, what are we going to teach people? And the answer was how to be a better negotiator. Ultimately, that ended up becoming the title, because despite the first title being a little bit catchy, the how-to title was more like a punch in the nose. It really, really grabbed attention. So that's step one. Step number two, take that topic that you've come up with, your how-to topic, write it down again, because you might refine it the second time that you're going to do it, or this might be the moment where you transform it from the alchemy of negotiation or how to, or from how to the alchemy or whatever it is. But the next step is the secret sauce. And this is the super important piece. And if you've got something that you want to talk about, it's clearly a headache that your customers and clients have, and you want to address the headache that they have before they know they need you. If you're curious about that, ask yourself, if I met one of my target audience, a member of my target audience, say at a family barbecue or at a networking event or even on a bus stop, and they said to me, how would you do this? You know, how to? Could you please give me some recommendations? I'm really curious, James, on how to pull together a lead magnet. Do you have a template for that? What I would suggest is quickly come up with 3 things that you would recommend that that person would do. And a lot of the time, these are just rules. These are just observations that you've made over time. And a lot of the time they are opinion-based. And often I will suggest the easiest path is to come up with 3 things that somebody should do. And a lot of people can do that very easily. Then they get stuck, which is why then I suggest that you write down 2 things that they should not do. Very easy. It doesn't matter what the topic. It's very easy to come up with 3 things that someone should do and 2 things that somebody should not do. And then, of course, write those things down. Now, I've written them down on the left of the piece of paper here. And the reason why, and this is the real secret sauce here, is that an amazing lead magnet that's not only going to help you generate leads, but it's going to position you as an authority and help you get decisions from potential clients faster. The best ones have actions in association with the lesson. This is also going to force you to shift your thinking away from putting together something which is all about opinions and creating a forum for you to download and pontificate and share all the lessons that you've learned along the way. This is the moment where you turn it into something very practical. And I highly urge you to create one action for each of those rules. So in my world, I said, when you come up with a topic, use the words how to. So as an action, I could simply say, write down how to, and then finish the sentence. See, that there is a really simple action. A lot of people come up with big actions like engage your copywriter, right? No, we want it really simple. Write something down on a piece of paper, follow this formula, produce a list. That there is an example of an action. And once again, I highly urge you to write down 5 actions. Now, when you do this and you write down the 5 actions, you are generally looking at the rule or the step, if it works out that way. Sometimes it does very simply work out to be 5 steps. When you've done that, quite logically, there will often just be an action. And you just go, right, that rule is connected to, I'll make that an arrow, that particular action. But more often than not, I found that you write down the actions, you write down the rules, and suddenly you realize that this one is better suited to that one, and that one is better suited to that one. If you ever played one of these games, you get them in children's scrapbooks, children's comics and stuff like that, a little game where you have to join the dots. And sometimes just that's the way it goes, you know, they don't all match up. So I create these little arrows so I know which of the actions apply to each of the rules or steps. I don't know if you've noticed this right by now, but after you've done this, you have planned an amazeballs, well-structured, an item of content of high perceived value from the topic to the content. And you've done it in a way where people are going to take your knowledge, action your knowledge. And when they action your knowledge and they get a little result, they attribute that win to you. And there's nothing better than getting on the phone with a future customer or client, and they've already had success. You've already delivered value before you've even met. So once again, if you'd like the worksheets, just tap out the word worksheets or worksheet, and I'll do my best to get them to you ASAP, as soon as possible. So you can do this perhaps a little bit later or in your own time. So I've mapped all this stuff out now on a piece of paper. But the next step is the most important step. And that is because the first bit is the planning stage. And I think that you'll find this quite a natural and intuitive process. But then the next step is where a lot of people stop. They just don't do this next step. And this is when you download your wisdom using something like a mind map. So me, here is what I do. I step in front of a whiteboard. I've got one right there, you can see. And in the middle of the whiteboard, I draw a circle. And in the middle of that whiteboard, I name the target audience. I name their A state, their headache, their pain, their gain. That's what I do. There's the 3 things: target audience, pain, and gain. Along the bottom of the page, I will write my headline, how to. And then around this, as spokes, I'm going to mind map the different rules. So I might have rule 1, and I might have 3 dot points, and then I'll have my action. And then I'll have rule 2, then I'll have the things that I'm thinking of saying, and then I'll have my action. And I'll do that 5 times. Now, why do I put this on a whiteboard, and why do I mind map it the way that I have right now? Well, the reason is the next step, the bit that I say that not enough people do, is a fairly simple one if you can get around to doing it. And that is I pull out my mobile phone, I turn it onto the voice memo mode, I step back in front of my whiteboard with my chest out, sitting up straight so my lungs are open, and I start to talk. And it goes something like this. Are you ready? Tell me if this sounds familiar. If you're a B2B business owner, perhaps you operate a consultancy or an agency, you sell a complex service or an expensive product, it's really difficult to get your brand out there. It's harder than ever to position yourself as an authority. And all you really want is for your future customers and clients to see the value that you can offer and make those decisions quickly to work with you. Well, today I'm going to be talking about how to pull together the perfect lead magnet template. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because a well-structured lead magnet template is all about getting you that visibility. It's all about positioning you as an authority. It's about helping your clients make decisions faster. So that's what we're going to be running through today. The 5 steps for pulling together the perfect lead magnet if you are a consultant, an agency owner, or another B2B business owner or professional. Let's get started. Step 1, when you're coming up with the title for your lead magnet, and onwards they go. Now, one of the reasons why this is framed this way with the circles is that often I will get through this bit and I'm killing it. I'm nailing it. Then I get through this bit and I'm going, oh my goodness, wow, this audio file could indeed end up being an episode of a podcast. I'm doing so well. And then I get to this bit and then suddenly out of the blue, what happens? I'm doing it at home or something and woof, woof, the dog barks or the doorbell rings and my audio file is ruined, or so I once believed. But what I can do is if that happens, I can pause, go, bloody dog, send the dog outside, go see who's on the door at the postman, whatever it is, deal with it really quickly. And if I'm still recording, let's say I'm at part 3 and I'm working through part 3. And part 3 is really important because woof, woof, woof. I'll go, And part 3 is really important because, and just get straight back into it. The reason why I'm doing that is when I create an audio file and click my fingers 3 times, anyone looking at that audio file will be able to see 3 very distinct spikes, which means that I can pass my audio file off to my personal assistant or someone who is better at technology stuff, and they can listen to it and cut out all my mistakes. It's a smooth way to do it. So I will stand in front of the whiteboard. I will do my audio stuff, download to the best of my abilities. The first time that you do this, you're going to stink, but it doesn't matter because you're downloading your wisdom. And then I'm just going to send that audio file to myself. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it to myself as an email, which your audio file tool is going to allow you to do. And then I upload it to a transcription service, and the transcription service sends it back to me as a transcribed file. So why is this so super helpful? Why do I call this the perfect lead magnet? Well, firstly, you may have begun to suspect that you don't have to always do this alone. So if you've got a business partner, you can do this once a month where you interview them or they interview you, or maybe you've got a colleague that you work with, you get along with really, really well. Interview each other, follow this particular formula, structure it out, and then interview each other. But the reason why I love this formula so much is because in the beginning, you're going to end up with a couple different items. Okay, if the audio file goes really well, you end up with the equivalent of a podcast. So it's something that you can share. It's something that you can give away, which is really, really cool. If the audio file is tidy and it's cleaned up and it sounds good, why not just stick some PowerPoint slides over your audio file and then suddenly you have a video presentation? If you've sought a transcription, you can tidy up that transcription and turn it into a fairly simple Word document. A good length is probably about 1,800 to 2,400 words. But if you followed the formula, you can cut that down to 400 words or thereabouts and get it designed up as an infographic. As a bare minimum, it's not hard to pull together something like this, which you could even pull together as a Word document and then make a nice, pretty cover yourself using a tool like Canva. My recommendation, of course, is to engage a designer using a tool like Fiverr or Upwork and get it done in a bunch of different ways that look really pretty, because if you've got the transcription, yes, you can create the ebook. If you've got a designer, they can also create the PowerPoint slides for you and as well the infographic. But what else can we do? Well, if you've covered 5 points and you've got a transcription, that could be 5 blog posts, 5 items of content. If you've got 5 blog posts, you can pull together an e-series. That's when someone subscribes for 1 subscribes to get one of the articles in a series drip fed to them over the course of a week. It's a great way to create an email sequence. If you say anything that's half decent and intelligent, you can pull those quotes, throw them over an image of you, and you've got some pull quotes for social media. If your designer has created some slides, you can have a slide deck. And I can go on and on and on and on. Indeed, if you are able to pull together a video, which is a 5-part series, a 5-part course, that also gets a podcast, the worksheet, the roadmap. In a bundle, this indeed could be something that you might even be tempted at some point to try to sell. That there, guys and gals, is the template for what I believe to be what I call the perfect lead magnet template for B2B, because I have found over the years, and I've been teaching this strategy for somewhere between 5 and 7 years, is that most B2B business owners can follow the steps. They can get an outcome, they can follow the steps, they can download their wisdom, they can record their wisdom, they can out-task the things that are too difficult for them, and they can get 5 to 15 items of content and do it often in as little as 90 minutes. All right, I said before that we've got something coming up called our B2B Boot Camp. If you're interested in checking that out, during which we're going to create content. Not only are we going to create things like lead magnets, we're going to help you guys and gals download your wisdom so that you can identify your own signature method. You can map out your content over the longer term. But even beyond that, we're going to be helping you pull together the funnel pages that you need to create a B2B application funnel, which usually starts with an item of content. We're going to help you with the emails and the joinery and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. Now, this particular event is not far away. It's just around the corner. If you're watching this in the middle of February, as I recorded, it's happening at the end of February. Now, before you go, please indulge me. I want to just share one more thing. So I'm just going to stop my share of the screen for the moment. And I'm going to share another screen. Just going to dive into our private Facebook group for the moment. Now, I'm publishing this on our public Facebook group, B2B Talk, but we also have a private group for B2B School Blazers, who are our private members. And I just wanted to share this message that just came 2 hours ago from Maggie, who said, I just wanted to send you a massive thanks and an update. I joined your community way back in 2018. I had no marketing experience and a new product and market that I had to get my head around. I followed all of the recipe plan, then program by program got into the pointy end and all of the other training you offered. My original aim was to shoot for a champagne moment, annual sales figure of $150,000 per annum, which seemed almost unachievable given the previous year the business had generated $8,000. It wasn't a crazy goal. It was based on sound planning. Thanks to James. Thank you, Maggie. But it was pretty scary. We couldn't pull any of our sales team away from the core business, so it was all up to me and the marketing plan. You held my hand the whole way. Today, I learned that last year we smashed that revenue goal almost 4 times. Not $150,000, $600,000. That's a lot of champagne. The sales team have sat up and taken notice. So now we're putting some real resourcing into the product, but it all started with one simple ebook and 3 automated emails. One simple ebook and 3 automated emails. So right now I was sharing with you a template that we use to help our customers and clients create amazeballs content super quickly. The question that I have for you is, will you actually do it? If you want some help, go to b2b-io boot camp. Indeed, I think it's b2b-io /bootcamp-the recipe. I think either of those things will work. And of course, as I said a little bit earlier, if you'd like the worksheet for what I ran through today, just type out the words worksheet. Hope this was helpful. Have a great day. Have a great night for wherever you are in the world. Hope that's been helpful. Bye for now.